The battlefield was burning. Smoke covered the sky. Fire danced across the broken metal ground. Explosions echoed like thunder. In the middle of this chaos, an alien warrior lay still motionless and broken. Her name was Valari, one of the strongest fighters of her kind. She had led many battles, won many wars. Her armor was thick, her energy blade sharp, and her mind fearless. But now she could not move. A plasma blast had hit her spine. Her legs were gone. Her arms barely moved. Her body twitched with pain. But she stayed awake. She was trained for pain, but not for betrayal. Around her, her alien army, the proud Zircon force, was retreating. Ships flew up into the smoke-filled sky. Soldiers ran past her, stepping over her broken body like she was nothing. They didn't stop. They didn't look. She called out once. No one answered. She had served them all her life. And now they left. Her here to die. Via Lari's breathing grew heavy. Her blood bright blue dripped from her mouth. Her armor was cracked. Her hands twitched in the dirt. She tried to crawl, but her body didn't listen. Then, from the other side of the battlefield, came footsteps, slow, careful, but moving toward her. Not Zircon boots, not her kind. It was a human. A soldier in black armor with a red stripe on his arm. His name was Sergeant Ray Carter. Ray was not supposed to be there. His unit had moved forward, but his helmet had picked up a faint distress signal, one in Zircon code. Curious, he had followed it through burning tanks and ruined towers. And now he stood over her. Via Lari looked up at him, eyes full of fire. Her sharp teeth showed as she hissed, "You." Human. Ray didn't raise his weapon. He didn't run. He just looked at her, saw the blood, the crushed legs, the glowing cracked chest plate. He lowered his gun. "You're hurt," Ray said, voice calm. "Can you move?" Valari coughed and spat blood. "Why do you care?" "I don't know," Ray said honestly. "Maybe I just hate seeing people left behind." "They are not people to you," she growled. "Maybe they should be," he answered. A warning beep came from his headset. "Carter, report." His commander shouted. "Where the hell are you?" Ray didn't answer. He stared at the broken warrior in front of him. Via Lari narrowed her eyes. "If you help me, your own kind will call you a traitor." Ray gave a small, tired smile. "They already call me worse." He took off his helmet. His face was rough, covered in dust and a fresh scar, but his eyes were kind. For a moment, Valari saw something she had never seen in a human. Compassion. Another explosion shook the ground nearby. A tower fell in the distance. Time was running out. "I can't walk," Valari said quietly. "You'll have to carry me." "I figured," Ray replied. He bent down and gently placed his arms under her back. She grunted in pain, but didn't stop him. Slowly, carefully, he lifted her. She was heavier than she looked. Alien bones were dense. Her armor weighed nearly as much as she did, but Ray didn't care. He held her like a soldier holding his last mission. Overhead, a drone passed. Red light scanned the ground. Ray ducked under a fallen beam, shielding her with his body. "You're insane," she whispered. "Probably," Ray said, breathing hard. "But you're not dying here. Not like this." Behind them, a Zircon ship flew away into the clouds. It didn't stop. No rescue. No honor. Just abandonment. Via Lari closed her eyes for a second. The pain was strong, but something else burned. Deeper shame. Not from defeat, but from being left behind by the people she had trusted. And now, a human carried her. "I don't understand you," she said weakly. "You don't have to," Ray replied. "You just have to stay alive." As he carried her through the ruins, shadows moved around them. Other soldiers watched from a distance, some human, some alien. No one stopped them. No one helped, but eyes followed, whispers started. Why was a human saving a paralyzed alien warrior? Ray didn't care. He kept moving. The battlefield behind them faded into silence. But their story was just beginning. Ray Carter ran through the smoking ruins, carrying the alien warrior in his arms. Each step was harder. Her blood stained his armor. His breathing was rough. But he didn't stop. His earpiece buzzed again. "Sergeant Carter, respond now. Where are you?" It was his commander's voice, loud, angry. Ray looked down at the alien woman. Valari's skin was cold. Her eyes stayed open, but her body was weak. He couldn't just leave her. She would die alone. He pressed his come button. "I found a survivor. She's injured. I'm bringing her in." There was silence for a second. "Survivor? From which side?" Ray hesitated, then replied, "Zircon. You're carrying a Zircon? Are you insane? That's an enemy combatant. You are to leave her and return to base now." Ray paused behind a broken wall. Dust fell from above. His back ached from holding her weight. But his heart told him, "No, not this time. She's paralyzed," Ray said. "She can't fight. She's not a threat. She's dying. And she's not our problem." "That's an order, Sergeant. You disobey, you'll be court-martialed." Ray stared into the smoke ahead. His unit was far now. The base was almost a mile away, past wreckage, traps, and sniper zones. But none of that scared him as much as what his soul would feel. If he abandoned her. "I understand," Ray said finally. Then turned off his cum. He had made his choice. Behind him, Valari's voice was faint. "They're angry with you." Ray nodded. "They are. Why?" She whispered. "Why break?" "Orders for me?" He looked down at her. "Because I was once left behind too." Valari blinked. She had not expected that. A human who knew betrayal. "When I was a rookie," Ray said, walking slowly between smoking vehicles, "I was wounded. My squad left me behind. Only one man came back for me. He died pulling me out." He paused. "I swore I would never leave someone behind, friend or enemy." Valari didn't reply. Her mind was too tired to speak, but her heart felt something new, a strange feeling. She had never been called worth saving before, not by a human. Ray checked his map. The shortest path back was blocked. Too many fires. He turned and headed through a broken metro tunnel. It was dark and quiet. Perfect and dangerous. Inside the tunnel, red warning lights blinked weakly. Water dripped from the ceiling. Ray moved carefully, hearing only his footsteps and her slow breathing. Halfway in, his foot triggered a sensor. A turret popped from the wall. Unregistered biosignal detected. The turret locked onto VA, single quotes, LRI. Ray dove behind a pillar just as it opened fire. Sparks flew. The tunnel shook. Concrete cracked. Ray laid Valari down gently. "Stay behind this." He grabbed his rifle and leaned out to shoot the turret. 2 bullets hit. Nothing. The turret kept spinning. "I can't take it out from here," Ray said. Valari looked at him weakly. "You'll die if you try." "Better than doing nothing," Ray said. "Close your eyes." But as Ray moved, Valari did something strange. With the last of her strength, she raised one hand and pressed a small badge on her chest. A faint pulse came from it. The turret paused. It scanned again, then said, "Zircon commander recognized." Standing down. It powered off. Ray stared at her. "You had that the whole time?" She smirked weakly. "Didn't trust you yet." Ray laughed softly, then picked her up again. "Well, you saved us both. That makes us even." Valari leaned her head against his shoulder. "No, you're still ahead." They exited the tunnel and came out into quiet ruins. Ray saw a distant flare. The enemy patrol was getting closer. He had no army, no backup, and no plan. But he had her. And that was enough for now. The night was cold. Ash floated in the air like dark snow. All around them, The ruins of war stood silent, dead machines, broken towers, and cracked ground. No more gunfire, no more screams. Just quiet. Too quiet. Ray Carter found an old shelter, a crashed cargo pod half buried in the dirt. Its walls were strong, its roof still held. For now, it would protect them. He stepped inside carefully, holding Valari in his arms. She was barely awake. Her skin glowed faintly blue under the moonlight. Her breath was weak. Her blood had slowed, but it hadn't stopped. Ray laid her down gently on a soft pile of supply cloth. She winced as her body touched the ground. Pain flashed in her eyes. "I'm sorry," he said softly. "I'll try to make you more comfortable." She looked at him with tired eyes. "Humans don't do this. You shouldn't do this." "I know," he said, "but here I am." Ray took out his emergency kit. He had only one vial of med-gel left. It wasn't meant for her kind, but it was all he had. Carefully, he knelt beside her. "This might sting," he warned. Valari didn't flinch. "Do it." He removed part of her cracked armor. Underneath, her skin was covered in cuts and bruises, some deep, some old. He had seen wounds like this before, but never on someone so proud. He touched the gel to her side. She gasped out her hand. Out of reflex, grabbed his wrist. Her grip was weak, but her eyes were strong. She looked into his face, her voice shaking. "You show mercy to your enemy," she said. "Why?" Ray met her gaze. "Because mercy is what makes us more than soldiers." She didn't let go of his wrist. Her fingers trembled. "I have killed many humans," she said. "In the Sky War. In the jungle moons. I never once thought one would help me." Ray didn't judge her. He didn't pull away. He let her hand rest on his. "You're not the only one with blood on their hands," he replied. "War makes monsters of us all. But maybe kindness can change that." Valari slowly released his wrist. Her eyes didn't move from his face. "You speak like a warrior and a healer." Ray gave a small smile. "I'm just tired of watching people die." Outside, a sudden sound echoed. Clack, clack, clack. Ray grabbed his weapon and moved to the door. A shape was approaching through the fog. 4 legs, metallic. "Fast, hunter drone," Valari whispered. "It smells blood." Ray cursed under his breath. "It tracked us." He looked back at her. "Can you fight?" She shook her head. "Not even stand." The drone came closer, red lights scanning side to side. It was designed to kill survivors. Human or alien, it didn't matter. It was programmed for silence, death, cleanup. Ray knew. He had seconds. He turned to her. "If I distract it, can you reach your flare beacon?" "It's in my belt," she said. "But I can't move." Ray ripped the beacon from her belt and handed it to her. "If I go down, send it. Someone might come for you." "What about you?" "I'm not the priority." Before she could argue, he stepped out into the open. The drone locked onto him immediately. Beep. Target acquired. It fired. Ray rolled behind a rock, just barely dodging the blast. He fired back twice, hitting the drone's leg. Sparks flew, but it kept moving. Inside the shelter, Valari tried to lift her arm. Her hand shook as she tried to activate the beacon. Her fingers wouldn't obey. She growled in frustration. Outside, Ray was still dodging, firing, shouting. Finally, her hand obeyed. She pressed the beacon. A blue light shot into the sky, blinking. High above the battlefield. Back inside, Ray collapsed next to her, bleeding from his shoulder, but smiling. "You did it," he said. "You're insane," she whispered. He laughed. "That's what my commander said too." She stared at him. For a long time, this human, bruised, tired, alone, had fought for her, bled for her, risked everything. And he hadn't asked for anything in return. For the first time in her life, Valari felt something strange. Trust. A human had touched her without hate, had held her with care, had looked at her not as a tool, but as a person. She closed her eyes and whispered one word. "Thank you." Asterisk, the signal flare still blinked in night sky. Ray sat beside Valari, his back bleeding, his arm shaking. The battle with the drone had cost him strength, but he kept a smile on his face. Valari, still weak, looked at him from where she lay inside the broken cargo pod. "You could have let me die," she said softly. Ray wiped blood from his chin. "I could have, but I didn't." She looked at him for a long time, then nodded. "Then I won't forget." Suddenly, his earpiece crackled. A cold voice spoke. "This is Commander Bryn of the Zircon Defense Fleet. Unauthorized beacon detected." "Identify yourself." Ray raised an eyebrow. "Your people are fast." Valari spoke up. "This is Commander Valari. I'm injured. I request extraction." A pause, then a sharp reply. "Commander Valari was reported dead. If this is a trap, you will be eliminated." Ray muttered. "Charming folks," Valari whispered. "They don't trust easily." Ray stepped outside, his rifle ready. In the distance, ships were moving silent, dark shapes cutting through the clouds. Not human ships, Zircon design. But there were others too. Human drones scanning the sky, picking up signals. Both sides were coming, and neither side wanted to see them together. Ray helped Valari onto a small hover sled he found near the wreckage. She winced in pain, but didn't complain. She was too proud. "We need to get out of the open," Ray said. He pushed the sled through narrow alleys between ruined buildings. The night air was colder now, filled with tension. Every shadow felt dangerous. Every sound made his hand reach for his weapon. Above them, 2 scout ships passed overhead, one human, one Zircon. Neither fired, but both changed course. They had been spotted. "They're tracking us," Ray said. "They think you captured me," Valari replied. "Funny," Ray smirked. "They think the same thing on my side. They might shoot first." "They will," Ray said flatly. "Both sides will." They reached the edge of a fallen city. The walls were cracked. A large energy tower had collapsed, splitting the streets in half. Ray guided the sled through the rubble. Suddenly, lights flashed behind them. 3 Zircon soldiers appeared, weapons raised. Their armor glowed dark red. One pointed at Ray. "Step away from the commander, now." Ray didn't move. He held his hands up but stood in front of Valari. "She's hurt," he said calmly. "She needs help." The Zircon leader narrowed his eyes. "You're a human. You don't get to speak." Valari forced her head up. "Stand down!" she shouted, voice strong for the first time. "He saved me. He is not the enemy." The soldiers hesitated. One of them whispered, "We thought you were dead." "I almost was," she replied. "And no thanks to you." They lowered their weapons slowly, but their eyes stayed cold. The leader growled, "You are a commander, but the elders will not forgive this. You allowed a human to touch you, to carry you, to fight for you. He fought better than you," Valari snapped. The soldiers flinched. Ray stepped forward. "We don't have time to argue. The humans are coming too. And they won't care who's helping who." As if on cue, a distant explosion rocked the ground. Ray's earpiece screamed with static. Then a voice barked, "Sergeant Carter, you are surrounded. Lay down your weapon and surrender." Ray looked at VA single quotes LARI. She looked back. Both sides had found them. Both sides wanted them separated or dead. Ray whispered, "We run." Valari nodded once. Ray grabbed the sled's controls. The Zircon soldiers hesitated, then joined in, covering them from behind. Human drones circled above, firing warning shots. Ray zigzagged through ruins, dodging fire from both sides. Bullets, lasers, and energy blasts lit the sky. It looked like lightning storms in every direction. Suddenly, one Zircon soldier was hit. He screamed and fell. Valari cried out, "Joran!" Ray didn't stop. He couldn't. They were too close. Ahead. He saw a narrow tunnel part of an old subway system. In there. He shouted. They raced inside just as the ceiling collapsed behind them, cutting off the gunfire. Inside the tunnel, darkness surrounded them. Ray turned on his shoulder lamp. The light flickered against the wet walls. Old tracks stretched ahead. Breathing. Hard, Ray slumped down beside Valari. She looked at him. "You're bleeding again," he chuckled. "Yeah, kinda used to it now." For the first time, she reached out. Her hand, weak but steady, touched his. "You could have left me." Again and again. "But you didn't." Ray looked at her hand, then into her glowing eyes. "I don't leave people behind," he said again. And this time, she believed him. The tunnel was silent. No wind, no gunfire, no footsteps. Just the slow drip of water falling from cracked pipes above, and the soft sound of two hearts still beating. Ray Carter sat beside the alien warrior he had saved. His back leaned against a rusted wall. His rifle was beside him, but for once, his hand didn't reach for it. He was tired. More tired than he had ever been. But his eyes stayed open. Valari lay on the hover sled next to him. Her body was still broken. Her armor was cracked. But her mind was awake, sharp and strangely calm. She turned her head slowly and looked at him. "You didn't run," she said softly. "No," Ray replied, his voice almost a whisper. "Didn't feel right." Valari studied him. The human's face was bruised and dirty. His hair was wet with sweat. Blood had dried on his shoulder. But his eyes were clear, strong, but gentle. "Most humans fear us," she said. "Hate us. I'm not most humans," she gave a faint smile. "No, you are not." Hours passed. They sat in silence. There were no words needed. Ray used some of his remaining med gel to treat her burns. Her skin hissed where it touched. She winced but didn't pull away. "You're not trained in Zircon medicine," she said. "Nope," he replied, pressing gently. "But I figured pain is pain. Healing is healing." "You talk too much," she said. He smiled. "You're welcome." In the quiet, Valari noticed something strange. Ray's hands, they weren't just strong. They were careful. Each touch on her wounds was slow, precise. He didn't look at her like a creature or a prize. He looked at her like a soldier who needed help. She had never felt that before. Not even from her own kind. The Zircon trained warriors to hide pain, to feel no emotion, to obey without question. Kindness was weakness. Mercy was failure. And yet this human, her enemy, had risked his life again and again to save her. Why? Why would he care? "You know," Ray said suddenly, "back home, I used to fix bikes." Valari blinked. "What?" "Yeah," he said, resting his head against the wall. "Old ones, 2 wheels. Chain-powered. My dad taught me. Said fixing things teaches you how to value what's broken." She stared at him for a long moment. "Do you think I'm broken?" she asked. He looked at her, serious now. "No, I think you were thrown away. There's a difference." Those words hit her harder than any plasma blast. She turned her head away. "My people will never forgive this." "You mean me helping you?" She nodded. "They will say I betrayed them. That I let an enemy touch me. Carry me, save me." Ray thought for a moment. "Then maybe it's time someone breaks the rules." She gave him a strange look. "Do you break rules often?" Ray shrugged. "Only the bad ones." Later that night, Ray lit a small emergency light. It cast a soft glow across the tunnel. Enough to see. Enough to feel less alone. Valari watched him from the sled. "Why didn't your people come for you?" "They did," he said. "But they didn't like what I was doing. Saving you, and you still stayed." "Yeah," he whispered, "because someone has to." She looked away, her voice small. "I would have left you, before." Ray didn't flinch. He just said, "I know." She turned back, surprised. "You're not angry?" "No," he said. "You're here now. That's what matters." Something changed in that moment. No more walls. No more fear. Just silence, but the kind that brings peace. Not distance. Valari reached out slowly and touched his hand. Her fingers were cold, but her grip was steady. Ray didn't move. They sat there, hand to hand, warrior to soldier, enemy to something more. She whispered, "You don't know what this means in my culture." Ray smiled softly. "Maybe you can tell me later." Outside, thunder rumbled in the distance. Both armies were still searching. Both sides still saw them as traitors. But deep in that tunnel, two souls had found something greater than loyalty to flags. They had found trust. And maybe the beginning of something stronger. The silence didn't last long. Ray Carter woke up to the sound of distant movement, heavy footsteps, humming engines, and the faint buzz of drones overhead. The tunnel had protected them through the night. But now, the war had found them again. Valari opened her eyes. Her breathing was better, but her body was still too weak to stand. She noticed Ray's tense posture. He was listening, focused. "What is it?" she asked, voice rough. "They're close," Ray whispered. "Both sides, probably scanning the signal you sent." He moved quickly, checking his rifle, then reaching into his bag. He pulled out a small round device, an old hacking tool. "It's..." Screen blinked red. "This is a signal rewriter," Ray said. "I used it in the past to trick enemy sensors. If I can link it to your beacon, I might be able to call a fake dropship." Valari raised an eyebrow. "You can fake a ship?" Ray smirked. "I can fake a ghost ship. Empty, abandoned, and still broadcasting a pickup code." She gave a small, impressed nod. "And then? We run the opposite way." Ray crouched next to the sled and connected the device to her beacon. His fingers moved fast, entering codes and rewiring signals. Sparks flew, the tool beeped. He wiped sweat from his brow. Above them, scanners buzzed louder. A red light passed over the tunnel entrance. They were almost out of time. Valari's voice was quiet. "If this doesn't work..." Ray interrupted. "It will. But if it doesn't..." He looked at her and gave a dry smile. "Then I guess I get to be a legend for dying with an alien commander at my side." She blinked. "I still don't understand you." Ray chuckled. "You don't have to." The beacon pulsed with new light. From a distance, an alert was triggered. Somewhere above the ruins, an old Zircon landing craft, damaged and unmanned, suddenly came online. Its broken comms began repeating a fake message. "Commander located. Extraction in progress." Enemy drones shifted directions. Both sides reacted. Fast, Zircon soldiers began moving toward the fake signal, thinking their lost ship had found their lost warrior. Human drones followed too, curious, suspicious. But none of them were headed to the tunnel. Ray stood up. It worked. Valari blinked in surprise. "You're not just a fighter. You're a trickster. Comes in handy," he said. "Let's move." Ray grabbed the sled and pulled her deeper through the tunnel. They moved fast, avoiding broken rails and sharp metal. Valari clutched the sides, her hands shaking. She suddenly asked, "Why do you keep helping me?" Still, Ray didn't answer. "Right away," he just said, "because you haven't given up." They exited the tunnel into an old underground train station. The ceiling was cracked, and light poured in through holes. Dust floated in golden beams. Then they heard it, a sound like thunder, but too close, too heavy, too fast. Ray froze. From the far side of the station, a new Hunter-class mech stepped forward. Taller than a tank, twice as deadly. Its red eyes locked onto Ray and Valari. Biosignatures detected. Human, Zircon, status, illegal interaction. Ray whispered, "They built a machine to kill people like us." Valari tried to sit up. "I'll fight with you." "You can't even stand," he said, loading his weapon. Then give me your second rifle, she growled. Ray hesitated. Then handed her the backup gun. She rested it on the sled. Cover me, he said. No, she replied. We cover each other. The mech fired. Ray dove left. Valari fired 2 shots from the sled, hitting its leg. Sparks flew. Ray threw a grenade, rolling it under the mech's foot. A loud blast shook the station. The mech stumbled but didn't fall. It charged forward. Ray sprinted behind a pillar. Valari aimed carefully and fired again, this time hitting its sensor eye. The mech howled and fired blindly, cutting through concrete and steel. Ray shouted, Valari, now! She pulled the trigger again, and Ray tossed his last EMP mine onto the mech's chest. Boom. The mech sparked, froze, then dropped to its knees. Dead. Smoke filled the air. Ray crawled over to Valari. You okay? She coughed. Better than it. He sat beside her, chest rising and falling fast. You saved me, he said. She gave a small nod. Now we're even. Ray shook his head. No, now we're allies. She looked into his eyes. And for the first time, she didn't feel like a Zircon, or a commander, or a warrior. She felt like someone who was understood. Outside, the real extraction ship had arrived. Valari's people stood at the edge of the station. Their weapons were lowered, but their eyes were cold. Ray stood tall, rifle in one hand, and the sled beside him. Valari looked at her people, then at Ray. She whispered, Don't speak. Let me. He nodded. And she turned toward her army, ready to defy them for the human who saved her. The extraction ship landed with a deep, roaring hum. Dust swirled in the air. Wind from the engines blew across the ruins, shaking broken walls and rusted metal. Ray Carter stood still, exhausted, dirty, and holding onto the sled carrying Valari. His rifle hung from one hand. His back ached. His face was bruised, but his eyes were steady. From the ramp of the ship, Zircon warriors stepped out. Dozens of them, tall, armored, proud. Their weapons were not raised, but they were ready. At the front was High Commander Jaren, a stone-faced leader with silver skin and cold yellow eyes. His gaze landed on Valari, then slid to Ray. He spoke, loud enough for all to hear. Is this how we find you, Valari? In the arms of a human? Valari raised herself up slightly on the sled. Her voice was steady. This human saved my life, again and again. When no one else came, Jaren's face didn't change. You should have died in glory. You chose shame. Ray felt tension in the air, like a knife pressed to his neck. But he didn't move. He didn't speak. Valari looked around at the soldiers, her voice growing stronger. I was left behind, wounded, broken. Not a single one of you came for me. Only he did, our enemy. A few Zircon soldiers lowered their heads. Jaren spoke again, sharp and harsh. The council will see this as betrayal. Then let them. She snapped. But I will not let this man be punished for showing mercy. Ray blinked. He hadn't expected her to fight for him. Not like this. Valari pushed herself up fully now, sitting straight despite her pain. Her hand pointed at Ray. Her words rang clear. From this moment forward, he is under my protection. Touch him, and you answer to me. The Zircon soldiers looked at each other. Whispers moved through the ranks. No one had ever heard such a thing. A commander offering a human full warrior shield. Jaren narrowed his eyes. You break ancient law. Valari didn't flinch. Then the law is broken. Ray looked at her, quiet, surprised, and maybe proud. After a long silence, Jaren finally turned away. Bring her aboard, he ordered coldly. 2 Zircon medics moved forward with a floating stretcher. Valari stopped them. I will go when he is safe. Ray stepped beside her. You don't have to do this. She looked at him. Yes, I do. She turned back to her people. Let the human return to his kind, unharmed, or I won't step on that ship." Jaren's jaw tightened. But he nodded once. Ray and Valari looked at each other for the last time. "I guess this is goodbye," Ray said. She tilted her head. "For now." He extended a hand. She didn't shake it. Instead, she reached up and pressed her hand against his chest, over his heart. "This means more than any medal in my world," she said softly. Ray placed his hand over hers. "It means something here too." They stayed like that for one long second, two warriors from two worlds, bonded by something greater than war. Then the medics lifted her gently. Ray turned and walked toward the ruins, where a human evac ship was now landing nearby, no longer firing, no longer hunting. They had watched everything. They had heard her words. For once, no one stood in his way. He climbed aboard, never looking back. But in the distance, as Valari's ship rose into the sky, she looked down through the viewing window. She whispered to herself, "He didn't just save my life. He changed it." Epilogue. Months later, whispers spread across both armies about a human who carried a paralyzed alien warrior across enemy lines, about a Zircon commander who defied her own people for honor, about two enemies who became more than just survivors. They called it the Pact of Fire and Mercy. And for the first time in years, something strange began to grow between the two worlds. Hope.